First off is always the introduction, but I don't have one planned, so live with it. So I do have a script for this video. I have not come unprepared, but like I said, this video is, well, not said, but wrote or typed. I technically didn't write it, but whatever, we're not here for that. So I was planning on doing Pootie's Patches having 2 chapters for each wallpaper, but I think people would rather prefer having the full book with just one wallpaper, so having a full video, you know? So we'll see where I can get with that. In the meantime, I'm going to be distracting you with my terrible drawing skills and some uneducated opinions about a very popular nerdcore artist. And no, this is not rocket music, despite how absolutely in love I am with their music. This is about CG5. First off, if you don't know what a nerdcore artist is, they basically make music for games, animated series, and stuff that kids would usually enjoy, you know? But their music is anything but kid-friendly. Do not be fooled by the fast-paced animations and the interesting vocal shiftment. They are making music about serial killers, predators, and human sacrifices. For example, CG5 has had his fair share of some very non-kid-friendly songs. As do all nerdcore artists, you know, you gotta love that. In fact, I would argue that nerdcore music is so unsafe that CG5 is probably the most appropriate nerdcore artist I could find. He makes songs for Dark Deception, Five Nights at Freddy's, Poppy Playtime, etc. Now, you're probably thinking, well, Lindy, those aren't so bad. No, they are. Dark Deception is about a man purposefully sending his soul to hell so he can get the family back that he set up to murder in the first place. Not to mention the highly inappropriate metaphors within the game itself. It's not for children. Five Nights at Freddy's is about a serial killer who murdered children and stuffed their bodies into animatronics to hide the corpses, before accidentally killing himself by attempting to hide from the souls haunting him. And they say that's for 13-year-olds. Actually 12-year-olds, which is strange. Poppy Playtime is about a whole underground society below a toy factory that slaughtered the lives of children in order to stuff them into the toys they were making. However, I will say this, the music makes the game seem more appropriate than what they actually are. The music's really good, and thanks to the distracting instrumentals, you don't focus on the story behind it, which is a good thing, right? Well, I wouldn't know, I'm not a child psychologist, so what do I care? Point is, CG5 is incredibly talented, from making music about games to making music about normal life struggles, which is what makes him even more talented than your average everyday nerdcore artist. He can switch up from nerdcore to natural. Whether he's singing about mental illness or childhood trauma, his voice is a fragility within your hectic life. There's an airplane outside right now. I say this because if you consider his vocals for a second, he's got the type of voice that would normally screech in your ears, leaving them bleeding. But he actually has quite the soothing voice. He knows exactly when to shout, how loud to make the shouting. He doesn't directly approach the mic with shouting, which is something I think day games could learn from, but then again, he's been doing it for so long that it's honestly become his fingerprint at this point. As for CG5, he's able to put wholesome lyrics into a darker melody to make it seem as if there is hope left in an otherwise hopeless universe. As we all know, independent game developers seem to love the idea of just making everything so hopeless that there's no escape from your mentality. What do I care? I can't say the same for rocket music, because if you took their songs out of context, it would kind of sound like they're singing about mental health issues. But if you took CG5 songs out of context, it would basically feel like his personality. As CG5 is an incredibly eccentric individual, if I can put it like that. The truth is, he does a lot of embarrassing and otherwise awkward things, which our newer generation would refer to as cringe content. But CG5 doesn't make me hiss, he doesn't make me wish this wasn't on the internet, he's actually funny, unlike repeatedly doing the same thing, which gets embarrassing after a while. He's just able to change himself into so many different forms. At sometimes I get frustrated because I don't know if this is normal, but I can't cope with somebody who can just switch from one side to the next. The thing with CG5 is that that's his talent. He's a classic character, and just by watching him out of context, man, that's a common word in my vocabulary, you'd think he came out of a cartoon. He makes really good music. Of course, his music is either incredibly upbeat or really down in the darkness where the depths are gonna swallow you whole. Despite how hopeful I called his music. Unlike just making a neutral sound, he's very unique in every aspect of his art, from sounds to vocals, you know? But I'd have to start from the beginning in order to make my point. That's a lie. So I first discovered CG5 through a song called Every Door. Every Door was popular at the time and had been 9 months old when I first started listening to it. How do I remember that? Simple. I'm not going to explain that. I think CG5 had about 3 million or 4 million, or maybe below 3 million subscribers. Point is, he has over 8 million now. Close to 9 million. If I count my numbers right, that was about 5 or 4 years ago, which means in 5 more years, he might have over 12 million. Let's actually see if I'm right. Point is, I enjoyed the song because it's exactly what I wanted out of a song about school. It described every aspect of what it means to be stuck in a classroom for so long that it feels like your knees are giving in, considering you don't feel your legs anymore. Often it feels like the teacher is just punishing you for no reason, forcing you to sit when you can feel your bladder about to pop. Or especially when it comes to getting something wrong, your teacher throws you over their lap and starts spanking you in front of the whole class. Memorable times, really. Despite this, I grew out of CG5 incredibly fast when I started checking out other artists. However, there is one reason why CG5 will never, ever be able to be replaced by any other artist on the YouTube platform and on this living planet, and these include all artists. I don't care who it is. There's no replacement for CG5. He's sitting right below rock music. But the main reason for this is Super Horror Bro. You're probably wondering, what does that have to do with anything when it comes to CG5? He doesn't even know who CG5 is. It's creepy that I know that. Well, if you're 50 years old and your favorite musician made a song about a child getting sucked into a cartoon, wouldn't you be a little curious? And at that exact same day, after watching the music video and everything, YouTube recommends you a story explained that's over 40 minutes long, I think, about what the context behind this insane song is. Well, children are generally creepy. Ever since Cocomelon rumors started going around about them brainwashing their children into acting more aggressive, I just had to know what Amanda the Adventurer was about. Sadly, after discovering the context, it was interesting at first until the investigation started getting more and more close to real-life events, and then it just started feeling like another horror movie all over again. Amanda herself is interesting, the animation is very interesting, but the investigation wasn't as interesting. You know what, it wasn't interesting at all. I didn't care about that. Super Horror Bro was, however, very interesting. And the next day, my whole front page, or I think FYP, was full of recommendations to watch Super Horror Bro. Day by day, that doesn't matter. Anyway, CG5 basically built a part of my personality the day I found Super Horror Bro. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Now, obviously my whole life doesn't revolve around watching a bunch of gamers all day, but I mean, he's like that older brother you never knew. Forget that. But if we're taking things back to CG5, I stopped getting so much into his channel and started focusing more on other things. Now, the reason I did this was because he started getting too popular. He just didn't feel the same anymore. I know that sounds really parasocial. If you don't know what parasocial means, give me a second. Parasocial is someone having a fictional relationship with their favorite celebrity in their head. It's basically if you feel entitled to a certain part of their life even though you're not even remotely connected to their lifestyle in any way. I will admit, I don't have a parasocial relationship with anybody except a certain individual whom I will not name, because I'm trying to separate myself from them and avoid falling back into that very quote-unquote unhealthy chain of events. But I think I'm gonna jump back into his music because firstly, I abandoned him for a stupid reason. Secondly, it would help keep me away from that certain individual that I mentioned. Thirdly, he makes great music. As for the very beautiful art you've been staring at for the past several minutes, it took 3 days. I'm gonna be honest. The only reason it took that long was because, I was recording it. It's incredibly difficult for me to keep my head out of the camera's lens, because if I do then I end up making mistakes. As for why the color schemes look so off, I promise you that it's the lighting. It's dang near impossible to get the right lighting from where I was sat, despite my desk being like halfway away from the window. Whatever. Okay, so my audio got cut out, so I need like a millisecond or half a second or something to say goodbye, and that was not enough time. So, as a distraction, I'm going to be speaking off script while staring at myself coloring. This looks like a child's drawing, but despite that, I didn't know how to say goodbye. I guess I never do. Don't even know how to say hello. But I guess that's the same with authors. You don't know how to begin a book, you don't know how to end a book. Yeah, this lighting is terrible, but this feels so weird. Nah, I don't feel like I sound normal. I feel like I sound sick or something, but I'm not. I guess my throat's just really sore. Oh yeah, that was the light base. It was supposed to look like a spotlight base. Well, I don't know how to describe it exactly, but it was supposed to look like there were screens behind the bars, and it was basically reflecting light off of the stage. But then again, I'm not good at shadowing or lighting, so yeah, that's my problem. Look, I'm not going to be doing this for another 20 seconds or so I'm just going to say bye now, and have a great day. Also, go subscribe to CG5, because I didn't say that in the video.